All right. Again, Frank DeMora, and today is June the 4th of 2013, dealing with Israel, the situation in Israel between the United States and Israel, and, if you will, the entire world, because the entire world is going to be affected by what's going on in the Middle East. Now, in my book, I continually keep it updated for you to show you what's been going on in the Middle East concerning the peace process. And actually, it's not much of a peace process because it's been stalled now for over 2 years. And the majority of the reason why it's been stalled, primarily for two issues. There are more, but primarily for two. Number one, ownership of East Jerusalem and construction that the Israelis are doing in areas like East Jerusalem, in the Gaza, or just outside the Gaza, which territories that the PLO considered to be their territories, but mainly East Jerusalem, and the ownership of this East Jerusalem area, of which the third temple will be built for the Jews, and also where the third most holy site for the Muslims are, at the Dome of the Rock. And so what we need to now look at is, in relation to the United States, what's going on? Is the curse going on? Obviously, if you read my book in all the very specific, detailed information, you'd have a good idea. But let me throw something else in the mix. Because recently I gave you some information about the curse. I gave you a warning, which I'm going to be covering in a second. But before I go there, for the people who just got here, may not know much about Bible prophecy, let me show you what the Word of God says about peace and safety. Now, when you look here on the screen, you'll see that the Lord told us in His prophecy sign in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3 and 4, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren," and it should go on to say they're not in the darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief in the night. So what we know here is peace is not going to come. We know that how? Because the Lord showed us that sudden destruction is going to be coming at a time that they're talking peace and safety. You see the guns behind this peace symbol that's swiveling around. Well, that's actually what's going on in the Middle East. They're talking peace, but underneath they're arming themselves. We see that the arms are coming in from Iran, going into Lebanon, going into Syria. We see that the Iranians are sending over not only arms, but they have their alignments in Lebanon who are now joining up with the Hamas elements going into Syria and fighting against Bashar al-Assad. These are the Al-Qaeda forces that want to get rid of Bashar al-Assad and then turn their attention on the nation in Israel. This is all happening while they're trying to call for peace and safety. So, a couple weeks ago now, I gave you a warning, and that warning, you could see the headline from that warning. I made a video about this warning, and what it had to do was John Kerry, and I'm going to go to that video for a second, and you'll see, here's the video. You'll see God's Curse, May 9th, 1999. I believe that's the date was supposed to be 9/3, but you'll see it in the video. And I talk about Zechariah 12:3, how the world is going to be coming against Israel. And what I did in this video, I showed you what was going to happen, or at least I gave you a warning about John Kerry going over to the Middle East to start up or try to start up these Middle East peace talks, of which the Obama administration is trying to divide up the land of Israel, which you get a curse when you try to do that. And so in this video, I'm going to play just a section of it. Go back just a little bit right here. I'll start right there, so those who have missed this, you'll understand why I'm giving it to you.
By the long-stalled Middle East peace talks. And now we know that Kerry arrived on May 20th, 2013. The talks collapsed in late 2010 in a dispute over the continued Israeli building of Jewish settlements on the West Bank land that the Palestinians want for a state.
Okay, so when you get to that video, you'll know when that video. Now, it was published on May 22nd, 2013. This is before John Kerry got to the Middle East. And the reason why I'm giving you this May 22nd date is because that's my publishing date. That's when I put the video up, telling you what was going to happen. And in this video, when you watch the entire video, I warned you back then, before Kerry left, watch out for destruction that's going to be coming on America, because Israel is trying to be divided up by the Americans again under the Obama administration. And every time that this, not only does this administration or any other administration, if you will, from any other country that comes against Israel or tries to divide them, we see that natural disasters fall upon those nations. And so this is the warning. Now in the video, you'll see that warning. And what happened, obviously, if you've been watching the news, you'll know that right after May 20th, the United States had devastation like they've never had, not since, when it comes in relation to an F5 tornado, not since 1999. And then at that time, in 1999, there was another president on the same day trying to divide up the nation of Israel. So please watch this warning. You'll see that that has come to pass. Now, the reason why I'm giving you this information is because of this. Let me go right over. There's another article today. June 4th. Kerry warns last chance for Israel-PA peace. Now, again, first of all, I'm going to connect what the Lord said, the call for peace and safety. Kerry's over there right now, or he came back just recently, just left on the 27th. This is about the time that these storms were starting to subside a little bit. They were still coming. The curse was still pounding, but it was starting to subside. And now that he's home, today was actually the first day that it was calm, or relatively calm. And now Kerry, we see in this article, is going to be going back again. Watch this. It says the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry on Monday issued a stark warning to Israel to resume long-stalled peace talks with the Palestinian authorities, saying that its efforts fail now, they may never get another chance. Well, what did Paul tell us? Paul said destruction was going to come. And so what Kerry is actually showing us here is not something that's new to those that know the word of the Lord. All he is doing is showing us something that God had already told us. So it goes on to say, we are running out of time. And that too is true, because we see the Psalm 83 war coming at a time when they're going to be calling for peace and safety. It says we're running out of possibilities. If we do not succeed now, we may not get another chance, Kerry told a forum held by the American Jewish community, according to the AFP news agency. Now, Kerry's warning came amid reports that he is planning, get this now, please pay attention to this, planning to return to the Middle East region within days for the 5th trip to Israel since he launched his bid to kickstart the negotiations in early February. All right, so let me show you this. If he's going to go back to the Middle East, all right, and today is what? Today is the 4th. Let's watch what happens when he goes back to the Middle East. Because if he goes back to the Middle East and he starts pushing this dividing up Israel like the Palestinians want, they want the East Jerusalem section. They want that for their own capital. They want a Palestinian state. In other words, divide the land. And this is what Kerry is pushing under the the Obama administration. And so here's a warning again. When he goes back and they start to do this, look at the date. Please mark this on your calendar. Look at the date that he's going, and let's see what happens again with natural disasters in America. All right, so that's just, let's heads up. Here you go again. If he's going to be going back, as this article says, then we should be paying attention to what's going to happen. It says, we can't let the disappointments of the past hold future prisoner. And we can't let the absence of peace become the self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, when I read this, I thought, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't know what the word says. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, let me flip this. Maybe he does know the word. Maybe he doesn't believe in it, and he thinks that if we say these things, it will become self-fulfilling in prophecy. Well, let me tell you something. It was written over almost 2,000 years ago. So it's going to happen. And we're not the ones that are going to be self-fulfilling. It is something that is going to take place, just like all the rest of the prophecies have taken place. Every single one of them, just like the Lord said. Now, we do know that there's some that haven't been fulfilled yet, but man, oh man, if you know the Bible, you know that they're coming fast, and they will be fulfilled very soon. It says the top U.S. diplomat urged in one of the most passionate speeches to date on the search for peace. The absence of peace becomes a perpetual conflict. And that conflict, guess what it's going to be? Psalm 83. That's the conflict. That's the new one that's coming, the new war. That's the one that the Lord prophesied about, the people who were going to be there, the Palestinians. That's where Kerry's going. He's going to be talking to the Palestinians and the Arabs that are in relation to this stalled peace agreement. Everything's flowing exactly the way it's supposed to. To what? To fulfill prophecy. It says we find ourselves in a negative spiral and responses and counter responses that can literally slam the door on a two-state solution. That's the best thing that could ever happen, because God does not want Israel to be divided. Having already agreed, and I think that there isn't a one-state one, Kerry said, according to the AFP. So, we know the call for peace and safety. And all I'm saying, let's give a heads up. Now that you know the word of the Lord, you know what's been happening when the leaders go through. Now, if you want the full details of that, if you want to know the full details of all the cursed dates that these leaders has said, please go to my book. Download The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth at my website today for free. And you will see for yourself when you read it, all the disasters had fallen on the very day or a couple days before and after when the leaders tried to divide up the nation of Israel. And I, for one, I ask everyone to please, if you live in the United States, start praying for Barack Obama and his administration and those under his administration, that they get wisdom from the Lord and start following what the Lord says, because the United States is headed for, you talk about downward spiral. America will keep going into a downward spiral, just like a tornado that have been coming, if they continue to try to separate and divide up the nation of Israel. So you might want to write the White House and tell them, please stand by Israel. Get the knife out of their back.